Spanish 1, Introduction Sentences 137 through 140. 137. I live in a small house. Yo vivo en una casa pequeña. Yo vivo en una casa pequeña. 138. You, friend, live in a red house. Tú vives en una casa roja. Tú vives en una casa roja. 139. He lives in a pretty town. Él vive en un pueblo bonito. Él vive en un pueblo bonito. And finally, 140. She lives in a small town. Ella vive en un pueblo pequeño. Ella vive en un pueblo pequeño. Now, the verb that I'm stressing here is the verb vivir, which is to live. V-I-V-I-R. There's a neat clip on that. If you just want to type in vivir or to live, you'll see the endings are O, E-S-E, I-M-O-S, and E-N. Okay? Now, some of you are thinking, wow, that sounds a lot like ER verbs. Right. ER verbs ended in O, E-S-E, E-M-O-S-E-N. And again, the only difference between an ER verb like comer and an IR verb like vivir is the we form. And what's the magic chant, everybody? We keep our letter. We keep our letter. So again, you might want to check out the clip on vivir. All right. Now we're talking about adjectives here. I live in a small house. Now we're talking about a house. Now, is small referring to me or my house? My house. And since casa ends in an A, the word small has to end in an A. Think about a teeter-totter. If you have an A on one side of the teeter-totter, it has to be balanced with an A on the other side of the teeter-totter. And notice the word for a, and, or one is una. And since A is referring to casa, and since casa ends in house, it's going to be una casa pequeña. And notice, most adjectives follow, like small, red, pretty. But if it's a number or a form of good or bad, it goes in front. Remember that chant. Adjectives generally follow except for uno, bueno, malo. Now, you say to your friend, you live in a red house. Now, A and red are not referring to your friend. A and red are referring to house. And since house ends in A, casa, it's got to be una casa roja. Okay. Now, he lives in a pretty town. Notice, town ends in O. Town is considered masculine. And since town is masculine, the word for pretty has to end in O. Now again, pretty is not modifying him. It's not describing him. It's referring to the town he lives in. And notice, what are the only three adjectives that go in front of the noun? Uno, bueno, malo. And those three shorten when they're followed by one male thing. I have a clip on that. If you just type in un buen mal, adjectives that shorten, un buen mal, it'll explain that. And the last one. She lives in a small town. Okay? Small is pequeño. Visualize you're out with your family picking fruits in a garden or in an orchard or something, and your mom says, are you picking the small ones? And you say, am I picking the small ones? No. Pequeño is small. Small is pequeño. But Mr. Holt, she's a girl. Shouldn't these be A? No. Small and A are referring to the town. It's not referring to her. And since pueblo ends in an O, the word small has to end in an O, and the word A has to be male. And notice, uno shortens down to un when it's followed by one male thing. That's Spanish 1, Introduction Sentences 137 through 140.